I am a real estate investor and landlady. So we are constantly involving ourselves in some sort of real estate venture, whether it's just acting as our landlords to the rentals we have, or we flipped a house last year, which took up a lot of time.
I love bookkeeping.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the I Love Bookkeeping Show. I am your host, Ben Robinson, and we've got a treat for you today. We're going to be doing an interview. I'm going to be grilling her with questions. Matter of fact, I've had the opportunity of sharing some time with her, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I want to remind you, if you want to find out all about the show, if you want to hear any of the shows that we've done in the past, you want to read the show notes, or you want other resources, then head on over to ilovebookkeeping.com, because right there you're going to find it all, as well as information about our courses. Now, speaking of that, Kelly is who we're going to be chatting with today. She lives in Central Washington. She has 3 young boys. She has about 18 different jobs. And so to call her Superwoman would, I think, would be an understatement. But welcome to the I Love Bookkeeping Show, Kelly Moreland.
Thank you, Ben. I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now, I think that we've been at 2 intensives together. Is that right? You were at one here at my house, and then the one that we did in Denver, didn't we?
Correct.
Okay,
yep.
Awesome. And you're still hanging out and listening to me. So
that's right. I listened to them all.
You might want to check yourself there. No, but in all seriousness, tell the audience, because obviously I know this, but all the different roles that you play in this here life.
Sure. So first and foremost, I am a mom to 3 little boys, ages 3, 6, and 9 currently. I am a wife to a husband who is a regional sales manager and travels a bunch, so that's always tricky. I am a real estate investor and landlady. So we are constantly involving ourselves in some sort of real estate venture, whether it's just acting as our landlords to the rentals we have, or we flipped a house last year, which took up a lot of time. And we're currently renovating one of our rentals and helping my mom buy her first rental, which we'll start renovating in a couple of weeks. So we don't do the renovations ourselves most of the time, some of the time, but that's kind of the main parts of my life. I'm a really social person, so I also try to, maintain friendships and do those things, which I know is takes time and is important to me. So those are all the things that we do, and my bookkeeping business as well, which I really love. So just trying to juggle it all.
Yeah. And as we were talking before the show, sometimes in giving advice on how to manage that, I would feel like a total hypocrite because I've never been in that position before. I've had 3 kids, but I was fortunate that my ex-wife now at the time stayed at home. And so it's hard for me to give out advice on that because I've never walked in your shoes. So only thing to say is bless you, right?
Hey,
for all of those things. And that's good. So, okay. So were you doing the real estate and the investing there? Were you doing all that before you started your bookkeeping business?
Well, yes, sort of. We made a major life change just over 5 years ago. I think it's almost 5.5 now. We lived in Texas, and we both worked full time. My husband was a former pilot, had gone to the corporate world, was working in an office at that point, not traveling. And I was also working very full time. And once we had children, life just really became a rat race. There's no other way to explain it. It really was that. So at that time, we both had full-time jobs. We did have a couple of rental properties. We were really interested in making that more of what we did, but we knew that our life had to change. So at that point in time, 5 years ago, we made a major move. I quit my job. I quit my career. I loved it, but it had to go. And we moved to Central Washington, where we live now, from Texas. So I guess yes and no. We had sold our rentals. We did not have rentals at the time. We did buy more shortly after moving here. So, we were kind of in the midst of a lot of things at that point in time. Since I was staying home full time with my kids versus being gone 40 or 50 hours a week, I was feeling a little stir crazy. If you spend that much time with little tiny people, you really feel, I don't know, I thought I was going to be this exceptional stay-at-home mom. And then I thought, oh, I need something else to do to keep my mind busy. So that's when I started looking into just doing something. And that's a whole nother story of how I came to find bookkeeping. But it was, in that transition.
Okay. All right. Well, I commend you for that, but I have to ask, Texas to Central Washington, is there some sort of connection there, or did you just throw a dart?
No, we're from Washington State. We were both raised here, or I was half, I guess, raised here. And my husband was born and raised in Washington in the Seattle area. We had made our way around the country, pretty much based on Mike's job at the time. He worked for the airlines. It moved us to Boston. We lived there for a year and absolutely hated it. And so a year into that, he transferred to Dallas-Fort Worth. And that's where we landed for almost 10 years. Absolutely loved Texas. But it just wasn't home, and I was melting in the summer. So we had to go. Mm-hmm. Sure, you know how that feels right about now.
Oh, yeah.
So we decided when a promotion came up for him that we would take it. It took us back home to Washington State, but we couldn't even fathom the idea of living in crazy busy Seattle, expensive, crazy busy Seattle. So we moved to Central Washington, which is an hour and a half east of Seattle. And I love it. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And that's important, right? I mean, you never want to sacrifice money, making the money for missing out on living life.
Yep. We hit the reset button.
Well, that's great. That's great. You expressed like, hey, I couldn't just stay at home with the kids. I had to do something else. Kelly Perry, whom you've met, who's our COO, she said, I felt that my brain was turning to mush and I needed something more than just, she said the hardest decision I had to make was it peanut butter and jelly or macaroni and cheese.
I've heard her say that before.
And she's very smart like you. And it's like, I have to use my brain and all that. So kudos to you. Now, you work from your house. Is that correct?
I do.
Is that how far is your commute? How many steps?
Oh, about 20 steps, maybe.
Okay, 20 steps. So a lot better than 20 minutes in a car in Dallas, Fort Worth, or Atlanta, or anywhere, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So kind of honing here on bookkeeping, what was it about this industry that made you say, yeah, I can do that?
Well, my former career was in financial services. I worked in the investment industry and helped clients with their money. And I knew that part of my brain liked numbers and liked people and enjoyed helping people kind of put the pieces together. So for me, I thought, okay, I need to find something that was similar, but not the same. And I really kind of stumbled on bookkeeping, to be honest. A sort of family, my godfather actually was starting a business about an hour away from where I currently live. I hadn't seen him in years, and we ended up getting together at Costco for a hot dog one day. And he said, the only piece that I'm missing right now is having somebody help me with my books, with, kind of the money management end of things. And I'm like, I could probably help you with that. And so he said, sure, sounds good. I had no idea what I was doing. No clue. I just thought I could figure this out. So that's where it started. I did everything wrong, and I just kind of figured it out day by day. And then I thought, I wonder if there's other businesses that could maybe use something similar, and let me see if I can really figure out how to make this a real business rather than just winging it. And that's when I found your videos, and they introduced me, and I made Mike watch them, to Bookkeeper Business Launch. And he said, yeah, I think this is worth taking a risk on. So we did. And then I've been trying to rebuild it since then and do it the right way.
Yeah. Well, it's a continual evolution, as you know, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You never arrive.
Is.
You never arrive. Yeah.
Nope.
And that's one of the fun things too,
It's true. Yeah. It is the fun things. You always have something new to figure out. So some days that's really frustrating, and some days it's fun. So depends on the day.
So what's your favorite thing about having your own bookkeeping business?
Obviously the ability to, everyone says this, but the ability to have the flexibility to make my own schedule, to, take a couple hours when I need it, or days, or whatever it may be. That's an obvious one, I think. But in terms of working in the business, I really like people. I enjoy hearing their stories and, how they came to do what they do, how my clients created their businesses and why. And I just really love helping them. Most people hate doing their books, and I think it's fun. So, kind of taking them from a big old mess and making something cohesive and helpful out of it is probably my favorite part. And just sitting down and chatting with them. I could just talk to people all day. So, that's my favorite part, I think, is just working with clients and helping them see that there's a better way to do things.
Oh, that's good. It's kind of a consultative model, right? Where you really want to help them and not just provide a service.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that goes a long way, as you know. So kudos to you. Now, it ain't all rainbows and puppy dogs and fun times and money falling from the sky. No. So think about some challenges, or think about the biggest challenge that you faced after you said, hey, you know what? I'm going to start this bookkeeping business. You go through our course, Bookkeeper Launch, and then you're like, oh, yeah, everything's great. But I know that not to be the case. So what was like a big challenge that you had to face, overcome?
There's many challenges. I feel like there's some at every turn. And I know you and I have discussed that. But I think right now the biggest challenge that I have is how to make the hours that I have in the day go a little bit further, and how to bring people into my pretty small business and leverage people to help create more time for myself. Who's the right person to do that? How do I get them, trained and up and running? How do I, how do I take a small business and create more time out of that, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into that, what we always start with around here, and that's vision. Like, where do we want to go? Because that gives us some sort of contextual decision framework to say, is this good? Is this bad? And for you and for everyone else out there is that, hey, we got to get real clear on our vision. And a vision isn't just, hey, I want to earn this amount of money. A vision, just, I want to spend more time with my family. A vision is something that is specific. I want to earn $110,000 in 2020, and I want to work no more than 22 hours a week so that I can do this, so that money provides me with this, and getting real specific with it. But let's look out a year, 2, 3, whatever. Like, where do you want to be with this business in terms of the clients? You serve 5 now.
Serve 5 now.
So where do you want to be? Obviously that, there's a lot of factors in there, but do you want to double? You want to triple? You want to have 500?
I have kind of right now it's about a 3-year vision. My littlest guy has 2 more years till he starts kindergarten because he had to be born 2 weeks after school started. So,
yeah.
So I have 2 more years of kind of juggling that kid schedule versus, business schedule. I don't think it gets any easier when they're in school necessarily, but it changes and gives you a few more quiet hours. So it's going to be a slow grind for a couple more years. But kind of that 3rd year has always been my, so what would that be? 2022 will be my year where I really get to grow this quite a bit bigger. But I'd like to work up to that slowly. I would like to be in a position in 3 years where I have a few contractors working for me. I like the saying that you use, which is 1 is none and 2 is 1, because it's really pretty true. So I'd like to have a few contractors working for me. I'd like to be doing a little more oversight and working with my clients directly on the advisory pieces, doing the cleanup and kind of helping get that started. And I have a pretty aggressive income goal in the next 3 years. I probably need to about quadruple at the end of 3 years from now what I'm making right now. And that'll pretty much cover what we make as a household. And, if Mike's still working, then we get to use that to invest in real estate.
Right.
So I hope this will fund my real estate ventures at one point or another.
Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, you thought about it, right? So, and getting real specific with that. Do you have a to-do list, by the way, in front of you for today?
Yes, I do.
Or either
Some
that are in
notes.
okay. What if you look at that right now? What is the one thing that you just put off because you don't want to do it? You hate it. Can you think of that one thing? Is there something on there?
The one thing that I don't, in terms of a daily to-do list?
Yeah, what's on there right now? Please don't say this interview. that would break my heart, and I'm hitting stop record.
That's funny. No, I think the one thing that I always put off is kind of some of the manual data entry stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I love technology. Technology is fabulous, and I couldn't do what I do without technology. But technology also makes things a little more complicated and frustrating sometimes. So with several of my clients, I have a bunch of manual data entry that I have to do. And that's always the thing that I dread. It was fun for a while. Now it's just boring. So,
all right. Well, let's stop doing it.
Yeah.
Let's stop doing it. So, I talk about this a lot. Our to-do lists are pretty good, but a to not do list, stop doing list is more powerful.
Yes.
And so I would say start with that one thing right there. Mm-hmm. Right? You want to give yourself back more time. This is something that takes you, like, how many hours a month would you suspect that you spend on this?
It's not even that many, which is why I think, okay, I've got to find someone that maybe can take it off my plate that doesn't want to work a ton of time.
Right.
That, just needs a little something. So I would say maybe 3 to 5 hours a month.
Okay. All right. 3 to 5 hours a month, that's a half a day that you could be doing something else, that you could be working with your client.
I need to deal with that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is the first thing that I would tell you to do, Kelly, is to, and I was doing a show recording yesterday, and it all starts with that one thing. And that's basically finding 1 hour a week in your life that you can get back, that you can be using for something else, either being with your kids, your family, developing your real estate business, going out meeting with clients, whatever you want to do, right? But starting with this one thing. And you don't have to hire somebody. You can engage somebody as a contractor, and you can do that through a service like Upwork. You can do that through, our network of people that would love to gain some experience of just doing the manual data entry. Mm-hmm. But I would just tell you that these things on your list, like, make your to-do list every single day and look at the ones that you just don't want to do, mm-hmm. and start highlighting these. And then, you put them in yellow and say, all right, these are the things that I am going to get off my list. And and the biggest trap that every bookkeeping professional, accounting firm that has, that's of, there's 2 to 3 people in there. One of the biggest mistakes is that they just totally say, hey, these clients, I'm going to shift off to someone else, another bookkeeper. And that is a recipe for disaster. Yep. Where we need to think in a task-oriented, like, where do we go? What tasks do we get rid of? So that you can create this system in this machine that operates. Right. And this is going to help you now in terms of giving yourself more time. But as you scale your business, it's exponential, right? 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So it's exponential, that the benefit that it's going to give you, but it's also exponential, the shit show that you're going to go through if you don't get this right. Yeah. Pardon my French.
Yep.
Because, juggling 5 clients, that's not easy, but try to juggle 10, and it's going to be, it's not twice as hard. It's like 20 times as hard.
Right.
So you're doing it at the right time. Yeah. Right. Kind of. Yeah. And you're going through a natural evolution. No, everybody goes through this, right? Where they're just like, okay, I got my clients. I'm making money. I don't really like these things right here, And so really it's just doing that and not committing to a person in terms of the monetary amount, like hiring somebody, local and having to go through all the payroll. As long as you check all the boxes in terms of that they are a true contractor, then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But, manual entry is not something that's fun. There's not a lot of value. And always think when you're looking at your to-do list, like, ask yourself this question: what are my clients really paying me for?
Yeah.
Are they paying me to do manual entries? No, that's part of what you do to get to what they're paying you for, but they're not paying you for that. Right. They're paying for you for your smile, for your information, for the reports, for the interpretation. And that just happens to be a foundation, a very important one. I don't want to discount that, but it doesn't really require you.
Right.
And I know you've heard me say, only do what only you can do. And the great thing is that you find somebody, you fire up what we're doing right now with a screen share, you do the task, and you're showing and walking them through it right then. And then next time, let them do it.
Yeah.
So you're getting the job done. You're documenting what it is. And if you have a person that, can follow instructions, follow a recipe, now you got yourself a little procedure, but more important, you have the ability to put that off on somebody else.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I think the hardest part for me right now is figuring out who exactly that person is. I've had one that I was really excited about, and we kind of false started a little bit. So it's not necessarily a done deal. It's not gone, but it hasn't come to fruition as quickly as I had wanted. So struggling there a little bit.
Offboard the things, number one, that you don't like, which we've already talked about, and two, the things that are least technical.
Yes.
So the things that, like for instance, us, when I hired Beth as our VA, and you've met Beth, she started just with my email, because I would come in and I'd have 30, 45 minutes worth of emails to check every single day. And now it's 3 to 4 minutes every day, if that, because Beth has gone through and has cleaned that out. And so, I found another 2 hours, 3 hours in my week.
That's
just
nice.
by doing that one thing. And Beth is like that. Beth could do that in her sleep.
Right.
Standing on her head. But that was the least technical thing. And then we moved into scheduling, and then we moved into, other stuff. And now it's pretty much, hey, I'm just like, talk to Beth.
Yeah.
That's my, I could just get me a bobblehead doll that says, talk to Beth. Because, she's my right-hand person, and I couldn't, it's like the old American Express commercial. Don't leave home without it. Don't go to business without it.
That's right.
But we started small, and, just for a couple of reasons. Number one, keep the cost down.
Yeah, right.
Number two, this is the first time that you've done this. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a learning curve. It all sounds easy as we sit here in a lab and talk about it, but
it's not easy.
No, but I would just say, what you're talking about there with the data entry, there's a little bit of skill involved in it.
Sure. But it's
not
repeatable. So I feel like I've created the videos. I've gotten some of it, transcribed, but not all the way. And it's just showing up someone how to do that, and then having them repeat, and making sure those are easy to make mistakes on. So I want to make sure that they're pretty detailed.
Oh, yeah, that they are. And then also, if you have the right person, one of the keys to this is when you get somebody aboard and they make a mistake, to show them what they did, show them how to correct it, and then, so that next time you won't have that mistake.
Right. Not
going through and just making the change, and then, they're going to continue to make it if they don't know about it.
Sure.
It does take more time in the beginning, but the payoff is going to be substantial.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And, one thing that we do, like absolutely right now, we are hiring, we want to hire 2 writers to help us create content.
Yeah.
And so I've got Upwork here, and I've got a call with an independent contractor who's off of Upwork that I found on a different site. And I want 2, so I'm going to hire initially 3. When I say hire, we're just going to hire them as contractors or engage them. And probably 2 of them will work out, and 1 of them won't. At the end of the day, we have 3 great writers, and we just spread the time amongst them, which they don't care because they're freelancers. And so if I'm giving them 5 or 7 hours a week, they really, that's not a big deal. But you do the same thing right there, right? Just, find someone, start offboarding this, and the best place to find someone specific, go into that elite group, Bookkeeper Elite, and ask. And then if it doesn't there, then, move out from there. But I always start with who, who are, I don't think in a poaching environment, like, hey, go find who they use and then now take them away, because that would create an enemy, and I don't want those. But finding out, who else already is doing kind of what you're needing done.
Yeah.
So the learning curve is minimal.
Right. Yeah, I think the first person that I had in mind did not have any bookkeeping experience at all. She's local, and I just love her to death. I think she's a great person, and I really think that with the proper amount of time and training, she could be a huge asset. But it would be great to have someone that's already been through Bookkeeper Business Launch or has already had a little bit of experience inside of QuickBooks, just so they know their way around, and I can, spend a little bit less time on the front end. But I also, I gotta like the person. If you're going to work with someone pretty regularly, you gotta enjoy them. It's just like your clients.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that is very important. Looking at that to-do list or thinking of other items, other than this manual stuff, is there another one that comes to mind immediately?
No, that's the stuff I really struggle with is, okay, after that, what do I have them do next? I don't know. And that's where, I did do some of that task audit stuff. And then I went through the list thinking, oh, there's not going to be very much on here that they could do for me. But I think there was more than I thought.
Yeah.
So I need to go and dig that out again, and pick a couple more things. I guess that's what I'm nervous about, is hiring somebody and then not having enough for them to do where, they want to stick around in the short term anyway. So that's what I'm struggling with.
I would temper the expectation from the beginning, and if you use a platform like Upwork, say, look, I'm looking to hire somebody for only 1 to 2 hours a week.
Sure, yeah.
And as long as you let them know up front, a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to bother. But
right.
A lot of people will that are trying to get their foot in the door, and then you build from there.
Yeah.
So just set that expectation. If you were looking to hire somebody like as an employee, they're going to say that.
Yeah,
they want 20 hours, 25 or whatever. But with this, you can get it down as little as 1 hour a week. But look at your business, because how many hours would you say you spend a month in your business right now?
I wrote that down, Ben, because I was needing to net it out. I spend, by me right now, without distractions, which we know that's not always the case, I spend 20 to 24 hours a week, so 80 to 100 hours a month.
Okay.
If I don't get distracted.
Okay.
It doesn't always happen. So that's probably what I spend, not counting the quick emails you respond to on your phone at 11 o'clock at night. None of that. Just
don't do that.
Sorry,
don't
I know.
do that. Boundaries.
Guilty. Very guilty.
No more.
Okay.
No more. Set expectations. You give them an inch, they'll think they're a ruler.
It's so true.
Or yardstick. Don't. And for everybody listening, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't even give them their cell phone number. Yeah.
I know.
So yeah, don't do that anymore. Or the doctor's gonna have a follow-up consult. Make sure that you don't do that.
That we have to discuss.
Yeah. So if you were to offboard, let's say you were to get rid of 4 hours a week, where you could get that down to where you're working fewer than 20, that's going to be huge.
Yeah. And I don't even want to work less necessarily. I feel like I have a nicely mapped out schedule. If nothing goes wrong,
right.
3 kids and, tenants and, something always goes wrong. But I need to spend that time, finishing my procedure videos and putting things in Asana. And I need to do some higher level work that isn't getting done because I'm transcribing 35 transactions into QuickBooks by hand, so that's what I want to get back.
Okay. Here's the last thing I want to leave you with in terms of an action item.
Okay.
Work expands to fill the time allotted.
Yep. True.
And so for me, being in my house, which also serves the basement as the business, I don't really have work hours. My work hours are pretty much when I'm awake.
Yep.
And what I've found is that I can't do that anymore. Because think about deadline, right? A deadline forces us. So what I would tell you to do first and foremost is for you to look at your schedule realistically, because I guarantee you can drop 20% of the time if you just give yourself a mental deadline for everything. If you give yourself a cap in hours, pretend that you are an employee and you say, I can only work 20 hours a week and only work that.
Yep.
You'll make it happen. Now, the first of the month or, the second week,
Sure.
whatever, you can make a little exception for that, but give yourself a boundary, not only in letting clients text you or email you at 11 o'clock at night, but also in the amount of time that you're allowing yourself to spend here.
Yeah.
It's going to force you to act more efficient because you're going, okay, all right, the kids are all napping or they're at grandma's or whatever, and I have from 9 to 1.
Yep.
That's all I can work today.
Yep.
And you can't work anymore after that.
Yeah.
People ridicule me for saying this. I don't care because it works only every time that somebody implements it and actually sticks to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good that my office is not detached or is detached from my house by several feet because I have to walk out here to work to do anything significant.
Sure.
So that's a good thing. But where I think that delineation will help me is it's a mental thing. Okay. I don't know that I may get this done. I'm going to come back out here at 9 o'clock tonight when the kids are in bed and I turn on the baby monitor and I work. So,
Sure.
I don't like doing that.
No.
It's not my, you talk a lot about what are the hours of the day that you feel most productive. Those are not, nighttime is not my time. My husband is like wide awake and ready to go and get some stuff done at 9 to 11. I am like a zombie. So I need to not do that, and probably making sure that is my deadline will be helpful. Like I pretend those hours don't exist.
Yeah, do set those hours. And if whatever mechanism that you can do work on, whether that's your phone or an iPad or a computer, put that away or put it in a mode such that you don't get those alerts.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm holding up my phone right now, and we use Slack for all of our communications. And I know because I can see it on my computer that I have 3 Slack notifications. But here on my Slack on my phone, I have none because I've turned the notifications off so that I'm not prone to look down and go, oh wait, who's going on here? So anyway,
yeah,
I would just encourage you to do those things. It's going to force you to think more efficient. It's going to force you to be a better use of our time because not that you're a bad, but when we have all day and even in our subconscious, we go, you're saying, you know what, I can come out here at 9 o'clock at night and finish that. So, I don't have to be efficient, but pretend that you can't come out there, that the door closes and locks and is not available till 9 tomorrow morning or whenever it is your time.
Yep. Yeah. I have a pretty set schedule. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because that's when I have some childcare, and I go to the gym in the morning and I work in the afternoon, except for Wednesdays, and I work all day. I don't work Mondays. I don't work Fridays, but I think the thing that's a shift for me is also just saying I'm not going to sneak out here for an hour. And that'll force me to be more efficient. Mm-hmm. I think
and it'll force you to start thinking like, okay, if I can't work that, okay, I've been efficient with my time. Now there's 4 hours more that I need.
Who can do it?
How am I going to offboard this? Yes,
that's
absolutely.
what I need to do. Yep,
absolutely.
You're right. And I found my task audit, and I think I need to make a list of the stuff on there.
Yep.
And the stuff that I know I need off the top of my head and come up with a solid number of hours.
All right. And start with one thing. Don't start with 10. Don't start with a client. Start with one thing and then just cascade it from there. Start with the easiest, most simple task.
Okay.
All right, Kelly. Well, I'm impressed with how you lead your life, just with all the different things going on. So kudos to you. I mean, building these clients and building another business and being a mom of 3 and a wife, and just, that's crazy. So congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So if people want to find out more about Kelly, I want to make sure that I've got everything right here. Your website is precisionbookkeepers.com. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Precisionbookkeepers.com. So thanks again, Kelly, for being on the I Love Bookkeeping show.
Thank you very much, Ben, for having me. I've enjoyed it, and I appreciate all that you do for me.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Listen, if you would like to hear more great conversations just like today's, then I want you to head on over to ilovebookkeeping.com. There, you're going to find all of the shows, the notes, and some other great goodies that we have for you there. Now, if you'd like to be a guest on the I Love Bookkeeping show, there is a link that says Be a Guest. Go in there and we'll walk you through the process of getting on the show. And finally, to discover more about our programs, go to the courses page on the ilovebookkeeping.com site. There you have it, another great episode of I Love Bookkeeping. Thank you for being a proud listener, and thank you for being a bookkeeping professional. Enjoy the rest of your week.
I love bookkeeping. Here's a little shout to all my friends working hard at keeping the books. You want to change your life, you want to grow that biz, it's not as hard as it looks. Be a money guide, a profit coach, step up your game.